Hey, this is Gavin. So I just watched um, Jordan and John, and I went through them timely and I made timestamps. And it has something to do with how do we govern Twitter and the question of what is, how can we participate in that government? And I just want to point out, just look at the clustering here. Like, at the beginning, there's a cluster of responses I have, and here in the middle, there's a cluster. And what that means is there's a part here which they didn't catch my interest, right? And so we have different interests and different goals, and so sometimes we can focus on a goal. And what that means is the conversation was unfocused to some degree, and that's going to happen. And it's something that we can try to get better at. So I'm going to focus on the one with the links. So here's one with a link.
Is a design constraint on the top of this governance.
And so I probably need to scoot back. Let's see.
Attention in a algorithm to properly allocate our collective attention in a fashion which is in alignment with supporting our individual well-being and in support of our collective or the well-being of the whole is a design constraint on the top of this governance.
Yeah, so I missed it, but he said it was 4420 and Timelinely's not giving me a good way to pick that timestamp, but he asked the question, how do we actually cultivate an algorithm to properly allocate our collective attention to facilitate our individual and collective well-being? And it's like the question is, well, how do you learn, right? How do you figure out what's useful? And the way you do that is you have to allow for experimentation. And so the way that you allow for experimentation is, one way to do it is to use this technology. Mastodon is an example. So Mastodon is built upon a protocol that allows for the Fediverse. And the protocol is called ActivityPub. And what you can do, so what could happen with Twitter is Twitter could then change their protocols in order to support ActivityPub so that the Mastodon could integrate with Twitter. And so if you produce messages on the Twitter, then your self-hosted open source Mastodon platform can receive and send messages to people using Twitter. And so this is the Fediverse. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to create things like Mastodon in order to create your own algorithms and customize your own algorithms. So back to the question, it's like, how do we actually cultivate an algorithm that aligns with our goals? Well, you do that by facilitating experimentation. Like, this is how you do science and learning, is you allow for experimentation. This is why it's actually hard to learn new ways of doing government in our modern world, is because we don't have a lot of opportunity for experimentation. Here's another link. So another highlight.
They're going to be fucking up less and less and less, right? That's a good way of thinking about it. Or as Dave Snowden.
So like Vervaeke had just.
They're going to be fucking up that's going to be governing example of the basic problem. If we cannot wrestle the Twitter algorithm, which is sort of a variation of paperclip maximizer in the dialogical domain, as you're describing, if we cannot wrestle that into being wholesome and supportive, then we've got no chance with the bigger picture. Okay.
And so
you're going to be fucking up less and less.
ActivityPub. That's the protocol. So then I could go to other things that are like less
I would go even further than that.
So John could have his own Mastodon server, which has algorithms and tools intended to find and celebrate exemplars, because he's talking about exemplars of these virtues. And the thing is so John can be better at doing this, and tools can help John do this, and John could build a customized platform that uses the same underlying protocols that Twitter is using. right? And then maybe these algorithms could then be integrated into Twitter to allow users on Twitter to choose their algorithm. And I think it has to me, the algorithm, I have ideas. I have a lot of ideas. But we need to facilitate the experiment so that we can distribute this this problem so that we facilitate answers emerging. And so I think Twitter should support the ActivityPub protocol. That would be important. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And I hope you have a good day.